Hi, this is Tracy, and welcome to the Woman Within You podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. So today, I want to talk about my weight loss journey. My weight loss journey is not something that I talk about with a lot of people, but for the last 8 months, I have been on an extreme weight loss journey. I remember growing up, and even in my late teens and late 20s, people used to always say, "You cute for a chubby girl," or "You have such a pretty face." They would never say that I was like a pretty girl or anything like that. Like, it was always, "You have such a pretty face." And to be honest with you, that seemed like a backhanded compliment. And one of my male friends, and I don't even know if he knew how much his words really affected me. And he used to always say, "You cute for a big girl." And although I don't feel like I've ever had like really bad self-confidence issues, I've had moments where I didn't feel my best. Like, for example, after pregnancy, your body changes in general. But, I've never really been a person to not really, I guess you can say, be really insecure about myself. I didn't even realize I was a quote big girl until, much later when people started pointing it out. And it's funny because I didn't consider myself a big girl until people started really pointing it out that I was. So I started seeing a naturopathic doctor maybe about a little more than a year ago, that was recommended to me by one of my male friends who, surprisingly, we talk about weight loss all the time because he has his own journey and I have mine, and we kind of try to uplift each other and just give each other advice. So I started seeing the naturopathic doctor, and I did all the blood work, and of course everything's fine. But, I was going by different standards of beauty. I was also trying things that I saw on the internet, and nothing was working for me. And she said to me, "Well, why don't you take some supplements?" And I don't mean like weight loss supplements. I mean like just regular vitamins, like vitamin D and vitamin B, and maybe even a probiotic, because I was also having a little bit of stomach issues as well. And I always just thought that the stomach issues that I had was just something that ran in the family, because my mother also has them, my aunts, my grandmother. We all just have like just stomach issues. We can't eat certain foods or to upset our stomach. So I just thought that that was just the normal. I then discovered that that's not normal, and that there's, unhealthy bacteria that lives in your stomach that you have to get rid of, or that you have to put good bacteria back in your stomach. And so I started taking probiotics. Well, I had a little bit of a health scare not related to my weight in September of 2018, surprisingly enough. And I don't know what happened to me, but I know that I was terrified. And I know that I said, even though this particular health scare had nothing to do with weight or anything like that, I knew that I needed to make a change. I had tried keto and all these different things, and my naturopathic doctor always says, "Don't do those things because they're not sustainable." And I'm not knocking anyone that does keto or Atkins or any of those other diets. I'm not knocking it. Like, if that works for you, then I'm super proud of you. But she said to me, "Patrice, that's not going to be sustainable." So prior to my health scare, I had kind of become vegetarian / pescatarian. So I was really just eating seafood, vegetables, grains. But what happens is when you take the meat out of your diet, you start to then crave carbs. So you start craving pastas, and because you're new to it, you don't really know what to make. And you also, another thing about it is you don't even feel full sometimes. If you're just eating vegetables, you have to eat a lot of vegetables just to feel full. The volume of vegetables should be more if you're going to feel full. So what happens is you start craving carbs. You start craving pasta because pasta is easy, and you know that you could just make pasta with vegetables and or pasta with sauce, and it's considered vegetarian. So that's what I was doing. I was eating pasta. I was eating things that, mostly just pasta, and I would say bean dishes, and also taking a probiotic, and also doing the vitamin D and B and supplements like that. So I didn't lose any weight doing that method either. And I don't know if it was because I was just consuming too many calories. But anyway, so I started following these pages on Instagram that is supposed to help for weight loss. And I swear to you, in all my years of being a chubby girl, as society would call me, I never knew that weight loss was simply calories in versus calories out. So I decided to download MyFitnessPal so that I could track the calories that I was eating in a day. I didn't want to be super restrictive, and I didn't want to go follow like the keto and stuff because once again, it didn't work for me. Regarding the keto, so the reason why it didn't work for me is because I was not getting enough fiber in my diet, and therefore I was backed up. So I couldn't go, and that would cause more pain and more angst with me. And again, I did not, it was uncomfortable, and it was a lot of discomfort that I felt. And so for me, it just didn't work. And plus, I'm not a really big fan of dairy either. So it was like I was just limited to eating meat, and it just didn't work for me. I needed more fiber in my diet. I need things that's going to keep me regular because like I mentioned earlier, I have stomach problems. Well, thank God I don't have stomach problems no more. And let me kind of explain to you what's going on with that. So I downloaded MyFitnessPal and I started to track the things that I was eating. And I realized that I was eating a whole bunch of calories. I mean, like a lot, like maybe 2,500 to 3,000 per day. And there were some things that I decided to give up. So I decided to give up soda completely, which I love an orange soda. I'm not going to lie. A Fanta or a Sunkist was my jam. But I decided to give that up completely. And to this day, it's been about 8 or 9 months where I have not had or consumed any soda. I also just started drinking more water. So I increased my water intake to 8 glasses per day, probably sometimes even a little bit more than that. And I know not every now and then you might slip up and you only drink 4 glasses of water a day, or, you just don't consume any water because you're busy. But I do try to make it a point to consume my water every day. So with MyFitnessPal, I entered my weight and my height, and it gave me my allotted calories for the day, which was about 2,300. So for my body type to function and to have energy, I have to have about 2,300 calories per day. Now, watching this particular person who is a dietitian on Instagram and with the help of my naturopathic doctor, I realized that in order for me to lose weight, you have to stay under your maximum amount of calories. So my maximum amount of calories is 2,300. So for me, I had a calorie goal of 1,500 per day. So I was in a deficit. So it's called a calorie deficit. So when you put yourself in a calorie deficit, you're guaranteed to lose weight because you're burning off those calories that you're eating. Now, I also had a home gym in the basement that I just never used. I had an exercise bike. I then in turn went and bought weights. And so I started exercising, and I started exercising like 5 times a week. Like literally, I did my cardio, and then eventually, because it wasn't easy for me to do, I started lifting weights, and not heavy weights, but just, I started with hand weights. I started just doing weights on my arms, and then I eventually moved up to using a bar with the help of my husband. He's so supportive. And so I started lifting weights, and all of a sudden, the weight started falling off. Like literally started falling off. I was not in the gym because I know that I'm uncomfortable in the gym. And on top of that, I don't want to leave my kids here by themselves because a lot of the gyms in my area don't have daycare and or it's way too expensive for me to bring them with me. So I started with the cardio, 30 minutes, that's it. And I would track my steps every day. And then I started lifting weights eventually. And once again, not really heavy weights, but just enough that I'm sweating. And so let's fast forward to December. So for Christmas, my husband brought me a sweatband that goes around your stomach. So I started putting that on when I did my cardio and when I did my weights. And I would make it a point to come home and at least do weights 2 times a week and do cardio 3 times a week. And the weight started to fall off, literally. So I was using MyFitnessPal, making sure that I didn't exceed 1,500. And yeah, there were some days that I went to 1,700 calories. And I wasn't on anything restrictive, but I also was making sure that I was making good choices. So that pack of M&Ms that you get at the vending machine is 250 calories. Yeah, we need them every now and then. And I'm not going to lie, I might have had a few packs of M&Ms during my journey. But at the same time, 250 calories can also be a yogurt and 2 boiled eggs, where you're full longer and you're not starving. Whereas if you eat the M&Ms an hour later, you may be starving. So I started to do that. I started to eat at the salad bar. I started just eating salads with beets because I love beets. And I know people are like, ew, but I'm telling you, I love beets. So with beets and, greens and stuff like that. And I started to just do that as one of my meals per day. And the weight started falling off. So then when I went back to see my naturopathic doctor, after I had told her that, the weight was starting to fall off, she said, well, why don't you incorporate intermittent fasting into that? And she said, yeah, it might be hard at first, but I'm pretty sure you can do it. And she said, she gave me a worksheet and it had different ways of intermittent fasting. And so I decided to try it. And I have successfully been on intermittent fasting for a little over a month. And I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, I am down 30 pounds. 30. Just from those little changes that I made in my life. I eat potatoes. I eat sweet potato. Every now and then I'll have mac and cheese. But it's not to the magnitude of what I was eating before. And yeah, you have moments where you slip up or where you're not perfect. And that's fine. And the Instagram account that I follow, the meal prep account, I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I'm not good at planning too well, but I know that if I have my Fitness Pal, I can just enter whatever the food is that I'm eating and it will give me a semi-accurate calculation. And as long as it's semi-accurate and I can kind of figure it out, then I know that I'm on the right track. So now that I'm down 30 pounds, I am halfway to my weight loss goal. My weight loss goal in general was to lose 60 pounds. I'm shocked. Every time I go on a scale, I'm very shocked. I can feel the difference in my clothes. People are even starting to comment and say, hey, it looks like you lost a few pounds. And although I don't care about their opinion, just to be honest, because this is my journey and my goal, it makes you feel good. It really does. So I'm super proud of myself. I could probably work a little bit harder and maybe lift a little bit more weights. And I promised myself this week that I was going to increase my weights. And I'm just going to continue to do what I do, because one thing about being on a weight loss journey, it's that it's your journey and no one else can do this journey for you. You know what works for your body. And let's be honest, when you have a weight problem, people who don't have a weight problem always have an opinion for you. So I never really discussed my weight loss or my journey or what I'm doing with anyone besides my husband, because I don't feel like hearing anybody else's opinion, because it's not their journey, it's mine. So I'm going to do what works for me and what's best for me. Well, besides my doctor, of course. I feel so good. I feel so much healthier. I can't wait to lose this next 30. But at the same time, it's like I know I have to continue to work hard. I know I have to continue to eat right, to exercise and lift weights. But, being called cute for a chubby girl all my life, I'm like, well, I'm not going to be chubby anymore. So I'm just going to be cute, right? Anyway, so I was reading a USA Today article which reported that the average size of a woman is 5'3", and that the average size of a dress or pants is a size 16 now in the United States. And I just find that that's interesting, because when you think of a size 16, the models and the fashion industry, you're plus size. And I'm just thinking, if that's average, then everybody's plus size, right? So that was interesting. I'm actually going to put that article up on the website at thewomanwithinyou.com so that all the listeners can view it. I was also looking at a magazine, Science of People, and it had like a meme, a timeline, where it discussed what was the popular body type as the years progressed. And I found that was very interesting too. In the 1980s, tall and athletic and toned arms was the standard of beauty. In the 1990s, it became extremely thin and androgynous. Like, I remember the Kate Mosses back in the 90s would be like, oh, she's so beautiful, but she was like 85 pounds, if that. And then today, a flat stomach, large butt, and large breasts are the norm, because people are getting now plastic surgery to enhance their features and to enhance their curves. Listen, if you're thinking about getting any plastic surgery to enhance yourself, don't do it. If you want a bigger butt, just exercise, just lift weights. You can do all of that by yourself. You don't need to spend the money to get plastic surgery to look like an image, because guess what? Based on this Science of People magazine, every decade, the standard of beauty is going to change. So why not embrace who you are and love who you are and forget the standard of beauty? Like, who's to say who's beautiful and who's not? We all beautiful. We were all created in God's image, and he didn't make us ugly. We don't have trees growing out of our face, right? So if you're thinking about getting plastic surgery, or you want plastic surgery, or you're in the process of going through that, don't do it. You're going to regret it. It's not worth it. It's just not worth you doing that. You were created in God's image and you're beautiful. Regardless of if you're a size 2 or a size 20, you're still beautiful. And don't think that because you're heavier or because you're super skinny that you're not going to be able to find a spouse or a mate, because that's just not true. The perfect person will come for you. And if you're actually trying to change yourself for someone else, that's a problem right there. And maybe you should seek therapy. In any event, your weight loss journey is your own, just like my weight loss journey is my own. And no one can do this journey for you. You have to be able to do it yourself and for yourself. And forget about opinions, because everybody has an opinion. But you were created perfectly before anyone else had an opinion. So you always remember that. Your journey is your own. And if someone says that you're cute for a chubby girl or you're cute for a skinny girl, tell them I'm cute, okay? And they can move on with their lives, because clearly they don't have any class if they're going to say that to you. Well, that's almost my time. But before we go, I want to just do the affirmation of the week. And it is as follows. To take care of others, it is to first take care of myself. I deserve to take care of myself. To take care of others is to first take care of myself. I deserve to take care of myself. And that's so fitting, because I think that I always neglected myself, taking care of others, including my kids, my husband, work, whatever it is. And so now that I've put me first, and that includes my weight loss journey and making time to do cardio and making time to lift weights and actually paying attention to the things that I'm putting in my body, I feel so much better. So I thank you so much for joining. And remember, you are strong, you are fearless, and most of all, you are beautiful. Catch you next week.